Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the launch of our Assignment Toolkit, an online interactive resource designed with students, for students, to guide them step by step when carrying out written assignments. And this project was initiated by the library learning community members, Adrian, Cullum, Finbar, Michael, Rosari, Sinead and Therese, in partnership with our students and with the support from colleagues from the Teaching and Learning Unit, the Student Engagement Office and the Department of Technology Enhanced Learning. And throughout the launch you will be hearing from a number of these key stakeholders who were involved in this initiative. Firstly, maybe just some housekeeping. And apologies if I seem a little bit excited about asking you to take note of the fire exit, but it's been so long since we've had an opportunity to do that. I would ask that your masks remain on unless you're speaking here today, just so you can be clearly heard. Then you can remove your mask. And yeah, you'll appreciate it. It goes against every fibre of my being to raise my voice in a library setting, but I do hope you'll be able to hear me. So first up, unfortunately, our President, Professor Maggie Cusack, can't be with us here in person today, but she does send her personal best wishes and regards. And she has recorded a video message for us now, which we'll listen to.
I'm delighted to congratulate all involved in the development of this innovative MTU Open Educational Resource. Open Educational Resources, OERs, are teaching, learning and research materials in any medium, digital or otherwise, that reside in the public domain or have been released under an open licence that permits no-cost access, use, adaptation and redistribution by others with no or only limited restrictions. It's most timely that this new digital toolkit is launched during National Academic Integrity Week. It includes a suite of modules that will guide students through the assignment completion process and provide a grounding in academic integrity by using best practice guidance at every stage. The modules cover a broad sweep of topics ranging from an introduction to the library to critical thinking and addressing misinformation. Needless to say, the toolkit contains a wealth of content on plagiarism and how to avoid it. But I'm also pleased to see how much it focuses on good academic practice with guidance on referencing, reading academic material and planning assignments. Initiatives such as this don't happen by magical thinking, and I'm well aware that this has been a real team effort. I'd like to acknowledge the work done by the library learning community in association with the Department of Technology Enhanced Learning and the Teaching and Learning Unit on the development of this toolkit. On behalf of MTU, I also want to thank the National Forum for the Enhancement of Teaching and Learning for funding this and many other really interesting and exciting teaching and learning projects which are in progress across all campuses of MTU. What makes this particular project really special is that it was co-created by students and staff. The library learning community was really keen for the student voice and experience to be at the heart of this project. And so a team of student partners, ranging widely in disciplines and year groups, was recruited to co-design the toolkit. I want to thank all students involved for their commitment to this project. I have no doubt that the time and effort that they have invested in the design of the toolkit will reap rewards for our current and future MTU students, providing them with a grounding in academic integrity by using best practice guidance at every stage. I also look forward to the toolkit proving to be an asset to academic staff as a rich, interactive resource that can support their students with their studies, and I encourage colleagues to take some time to explore all of its features and possibilities. To conclude, let me commend again the efforts of all students and staff involved in what has turned out to be a very fruitful partnership indeed, one which certainly has the MTU theme of succeeding together at its core.
Our President for those words.
I'm delighted.
Okay. And again, just following on from what the President is talking about co-creation between students and staff of the university, I would also like to acknowledge the contribution of our students, the 5 students who worked passionately alongside the learning community, to ensure that, you know, the content and design was right, but equally to all students who responded to our survey back in 2019, who gave us a better understanding of what their information literacy needs were. And a special thanks to Cleona from Lukayla for facilitating getting all of that feedback, because throughout the project, the learning community kept referring back to that data to ensure it shaped the project and to ensure that this resource was really addressing the key takeaway from that survey. And the number one challenge students told us they had was knowing where to start and trying to figure out what is expected of them when it comes to writing an assignment. And our colleagues in the Teaching and Learning Unit and Student Engagement Office have really supported us every step of the way on this project. Unfortunately, Maurice Birmingham, head of the TLU and the Student Engagement Office, has had to send her apologies today. But can I take this opportunity to thank Maurice and her team for supporting this initiative via the strategic alignment of teaching and learning enhancement funding, but also for all their support, their encouragement and the funding to set up a library learning community day one back in 2018 to give colleagues a forum to share ideas and identify opportunities to develop initiatives like this. So thank you very much. So moving on now to introduce my colleague, Gerard O'Sullivan, who is head of the Department of Technology Enhanced Learning. And my thanks again to you and your team, Gerard, for all your assistance in this project, but especially thanks to Roisin, Lauren and Christina, who worked with the team to bring their ideas to life with such really eye-catching digital designs. So thank you very much.
Okay, thanks very much, Jean. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Gerard O'Sullivan. I'm head of the Department of Technology Enhanced Learning. I think this is my first time speaking publicly in about 18 months, so it's a bit of a novelty. So our role on the project, on this initiative, was to instructionally design the course and to work with the various different subject matter experts based in the library, and those experts would have conveyed to us the feedback from staff and students as organised by the Anseo office. Our work, I suppose, on a granular level would have involved the coding and design of the individual pages, and that would have included the graphic design work and the creation of a number of other e-learning objects and interactions. But I suppose we took care in a general sense as well with the overall structuring and sequencing of things, and just in general making sure that the overall pedagogical approach was an effective and engaging one. So we also would have handled and will continue to handle, I suppose, the technical issues around interoperability and enrolments and the hosting of the course on the Canvas platform. The design and development process was an iterative one, guided and managed for the most part by Roisin Garvey. So thanks very much to Roisin, who's with us today. And Roisin was ably assisted by a relatively new member of staff, Lauren Maher. So great to see you finding your feet, Lauren, and contributing in such a meaningful way to this important project. Last but certainly not least, thanks go to Christina Pinkow, who's our graphic designer, who was responsible not just for the individual graphics, but for the overall look and feel of the course. So it does seem like a long time since I would have initially met with Sinead and Therese about the project, but there was the small matter of a global pandemic that intervened for a while. So in that and other contexts, look, it's really great to see the project having got to this stage. I think the resource is something we can all be proud of. I think it should be of great value to staff and students alike, both as a quick reference and as a full course in its own right, or as something that can be remixed with various different teaching and learning and student support initiatives. As such, I think the project outcome has mainstreaming and sustainability built right into it. I hope it's the first of many such projects where the TEL department can support the library in developing quality online resources and courses, So many thanks to Jean and to the staff who worked on the project with myself, Roisin, Lauren and Christina. Roisin, I know, was keen that I should mention all the library community she worked with. So here it is. It's a bit like an Oscars speech or something like that. But, and apologies to anyone I've left out. So Sinead Hanrahan, Theresa Hearn, Michael Costello, Colm O'Rourke, Rojari Deneen, Finbar O'Donovan, Adrian Vaughan, and Ciara O'Mahony. And apologies to anyone I might have left out. And thank you all very much. Cheers.
Thank you again, Gro, to you and your team for all your assistance with this project. And what we're looking for now really is our academic colleagues here today and champions to go back to their schools and department to encourage the use of the toolkit, to promote it with your colleagues, to ask them to embed it into Canvas. And to point our students to the resource, because again, back to that 2019 survey, 62% of our students told us that lecturer recommendations matter when it comes to the most used and trusted information sources. And earlier we mentioned the contribution of our students. Our students are our key stakeholders. They were very much at the heart of this project. So on behalf of the students, I'd now like to invite our Students' Union Vice President for Education, Cian O'Driscoll, to say a few words. Thank you, Cian.
Thank you, Jean. So again, it's going to be a bit repetitive. I'm absolutely delighted to be here in front of people today to launch the OER toolkit. It's going to be an absolute huge asset to students going forward. And not only that, but it'll also be great use to academic staff who can use it to support their students and guide them. So I suppose this toolkit, as described there by Garrod and also Jean, is the fruition of 2 years of hard work, which is absolutely great to finally be available to the MTU community. I personally believe, as an alumni, that this toolkit will be a benefit to our students. The introduction to the library, which you can see on the toolkit as well, is very informative. It's very easy to follow. There's step-to-step guides. The photos and videos as well, I think, are a nice touch for students that might not be aware of their surroundings, so they get to see their surroundings before coming in. The critical thinking and misinformation modules are great. It gives students the skills to evaluate the information they use, and it's extremely important. Being able to think critically will allow students to evaluate, interpret, and use information effectively. As a student, for example, like now, I had a habit of going off on tangents, and in this assignment, so it's great to see that it would have benefited me if I was a student at the time it was launched. Critical thinking is also huge for misinformation and news media. Not everything you read may be true, and it's easy to get caught up. So to make sure you critically think through news and media articles you may use in your assignments. We all know about Wikipedia, and also a very more modern word used now, fake news. The referencing module as well leaves you pick a style of referencing, such as the Harvard referencing, which I would have used most frequently depending on your course as well. There's other, I suppose, styles you can use. There's also the referencing software. So as a student, if you don't quite understand referencing, this will be an absolute huge toolkit and asset for your assignments going forward. I suppose one thing as well students will want to majorly avoid in their assignments is plagiarism. We're sick of hearing that word. It's a bit like those ad years ago around pirate DVDs. You wouldn't steal a DVD, so why would you steal an assignment? I feel like this is very applicable here, as if you wouldn't steal a car, why would you steal an assignment? This can range from copying someone else's work, incorrectly referencing, or as well, I suppose, copying someone's work. This is why the plagiarism module is very important. It shows you how to avoid it and a difference type, as highlighted by me there. Academic honesty is extremely important when handing up work. Students sign a declaration form, as we all know. I suppose so you sign off that it is your own work. However, once you sign this, you are declaring it as your own work, and if you do get caught for plagiarism or other different issues, you may suffer consequences. The university is software, and it uses it to identify these breaches. Bear in mind, this is not used to catch out students or used to punish students. It's used for academic honesty and integrity. When you graduate from MTU, we want you to be confident and correctly carry out the tasks you are assigned in your field of work, not Googling how to do a job or to sign off on work that you know is not of high standards. After all these modules, there are two nice modules towards the end, which are reading academic material and planning assignments, and finally, the actual writing of the assignment. These are the final two modules which will help you carry out and plan the tasks of your assignment. Again, I am absolutely delighted to be here and speak at the launch of such a great toolkit, which will no doubt help students daily, but hopefully result in higher marks and results for all our students MTU-wide. So again, thanks to Jean, thanks to the TL, and also everyone who contributed to this great toolkit and project.
Thanks again, Cian, and thanks to all students who have lent their voices to this project and left their footprint on this project. And as you look around today as well, we hope that you see signs that the library is listening to our students. There were significant asks in that 2019 survey, asks that have since been met. We had the ICT upgrade over the summer months, which has improved the Wi-Fi and seen power outlets now across hundreds of study spaces. We've had installed new furniture, more inclusive seating, and now today this launch of this new toolkit. And we very much look forward to continuing partnering with our students to continue to grow and enhance our library services, both in terms of the digital but also the physical infrastructures and supports. So thanks again. And I'd now like to call on our final speaker of the day, Dr. Anya Naher, our Registrar and Vice President for Academic Affairs, to officially launch the toolkit.
Thanks, Jean. Thank you. Thanks all. Delighted to be here. Hólakaha, Ochtran Maclean, Alas Ochtran, Common Maclean, a Viclean Galer, agus a Horde, is more an privilege dosa an achwin no úntach seo a heolanúh, agus tá anás arm gohfuil slúch mór seo, tá heile chéile, ceocha an sa Malin Aspig, no Nidirlín, chun an cóhéir úntach seo a chéúra agus a bhola. Colleagues, President of the Students' Union, Vice President of the Students' Union for Education, students, friends, it's just a wonderful privilege for me to be here today to launch this new fabulous resource. And I'm just so happy to see that we're all together again here, actually in Bishopstown, but also very mindful of our colleagues and friends and students joining us on the internet to celebrate this fantastic collaboration and indeed to recommend it. And I'll be talking more about that later. But they say that you learn something new every day. And I learned something new last night. And I thought I knew my music. You know, it's my kind of big hobby out in my life. But I'm a bit rusty at this stage after the last 18 months. We didn't get to play or sing as much as we did. But it was only last night that I discovered that global hit by Bruno Mars and Mark Ronson, Uptown Funk, that there was a story to it. You will remember, those of us who saw the Strictly event there back some years ago in 2018 will remember that song well, but we won't say any more about that at this point, but the video might be still there. But it was at the centre of a musical plagiarism case a number of years ago. And I did a little bit of Googling last night when I read about this on our new fantastic resource. And indeed what happened was that there was a band from back in 1979, okay, well before some of us were born, but not all. And they were called the Gap Band. And they had a funk classic called Oops Upside Your Head. Okay, so think about it. It seems to match well. And they made everybody aware of their case and there was, of their situation. And it also turned out, folks, that there was a duo by the name of Nicholas Williams and Devin Gillespie, who had also been previously credited for the track's use of a sample of a song called All Gold Everything. And I think I had a listen last night, and that's the bit that's don't believe me, just watch bit. Okay? You will hear it, and it's just so obvious. And that, folks, brings the total number of songwriters on Uptown Funk to a cool 11. And the Oops Outside Your Head writers from 1979 are raking in a cool 17% share of the royalties, all right, according to Billboard. Now, when you think of the sales of Uptown Funk, that's not an insignificant sum of money. Now, that's all very well, but actually it's a kind of an interesting story. But, this is actually all serious stuff. And I found out all about this last night. And what I loved about it was that it was at the start of the plagiarism module to which you referred yourself, Cian. And when I was training as a primary teacher, we were told, go from the concrete to the abstract, right? When we're teaching differentiation to first years, we start with various graphs and so on, showing that, going to the instantaneous rate of change. And that's what I loved about the approach here, and I just want to compliment all involved on it. But the serious stuff is that, we have to foster and protect academic honesty because it's at the core of our academic endeavour. Why? Because first of all, we want to protect the integrity of MTU's awards. And also, as Cian said, you said it so articulately, Cian, you know, we want our graduates to have respect for knowledge and ideas and an understanding of their ethical responsibility towards their own work and that of others. And you put it so well. And, you know, as the President said, you know, the timeliness of this coming during Academic Integrity Week, and there's been a lot happening on academic integrity, you know, nationally over the last few years, I suppose, following the passing of the QQI Amendment Act, which now, you know, actually empowers QQI, that's our quality assurance body in Ireland, to actually prosecute those who are facilitating academic cheating. Now, the current discussion is focusing on 4 pillars: upholding academic integrity, preventing academic misconduct, detecting academic misconduct, and dealing with it when it happens. And when COVID-19 hit, we looked at our policy, and I want to thank Des Walsh and his colleagues and the Assessment Infringements Board at the time, and Academic Council as well, for all their work and their review. We looked at our then policy in light of the then draft principles that were emerging following work being done by the National Academic Integrity Network, and again, thanks to all colleagues from this university who are involved. And we were actually quite heartened by how that policy had stood the test of time. It was actually almost prescient of what would happen. And I must compliment colleagues like Dr. Thaigleen and Dr. Stephen Cassidy, who've been soldiering along that policy development over many years, and it would be remiss of me not to acknowledge it. And we felt that the policy, you know, was pretty robust. And when things do go wrong, and unfortunately on the occasion when an allegation has to be investigated, we've a really diligent, fair, hard-working assessment infringements board, and all members, Des and his colleagues, and please pass on my thanks, Des, that I must thank. It's not easy work. And with the student voice as well through yourself, Cian, on it, which is very, very important. It's no easy task, but I must acknowledge it. But what we felt we could do more is about this culture and this building of awareness. You can never do much. And I suppose, you know, I'm here 20 years, but every year there's new students come in. Every year there's new staff come in. So we need to be mindful of that. And Cian, you've done such a great overview of the modules. You stole part of it, and I'm not going to cover it again because you've actually said it far better than I would. But you've given a fantastic overview of the selection of modules that's available. And we really envisage that this tool will be of significant help to new students, but also as a refresher to those with academic experience behind them. And as the President said, it's our hope as well that will be an asset to academic staff as a rich, interactive resource that will support students with their studies. So my first impressions, I love this resource for a number of reasons. First of all, it's by MTU and it's for MTU. It's highly interactive. It's a real team effort. I can see how it's drawing on the expertise of so many. It's free. It's openly shared. We're going to offer to share it with the full academic community. And yes, as has been said on multiple occasions, it's co-designed with students. That's critical. And I do want to thank our student co-creators. Thank you very much. You're very busy people, and you gave of your time and went over and above the call of duty to respond to us and to help us with this and to work with us. And it's a fantastic partnership. And lastly, I thought I was really struck about how the resource is leading by example. Any single, you know, reference that's been used is cited properly, and there's a real attention to detail in that. So, you know, again, and at the risk of omitting anybody, we've already, you know, the Anshaw team, Cleona, Maurice, playing a fantastic role there in getting the students on board, getting that partnership. But it's just one episode of so many that are happening here in MTU. I've thanked yourselves, our students, and it's really my hope, folks, that you will get as much out of the experience of co-designing it as your peers and our future students will get from the fact that you were central to its design in the first place. Technology Enhanced Learning, Garrod, please convey our thanks to you and your colleagues. It's just, you can see that expertise at the core of this resource, and I want you to relay our thanks, please, to them. The TLU, Teaching Learning Unit, and all the academics departments for promoting it, but also in terms of the funding, the National Forum funding, and, you know, driving the application. Thank you, Maurice. Thank you all in TLU for, I suppose, you know, engaging with the National Forum in terms of the fund, putting together the best possible proposal for, I suppose, for CIT at the time and now MTU, which I suppose just devolved a little bit of, I suppose, power, authority and so on to us locally to develop these fantastic, exciting projects, of which this is one. The National Forum as well, and I'll be, relaying our thanks to Dr. Lim Ramsey and to Terry Maguire of the National Forum, and our associates Garrod and Reese. You might pass on our thanks as well through that channel. Students' Union, Aisling, Keane, just so proud to work with you and all involved in the Students' Union. We're all in this together, not just COVID-19, but in the whole academic integrity, and your involvement and support is just absolutely key to the whole thing. We really, and we look forward to ongoing collaboration, and indeed previous officers as well. I know that, like for example, Zach Nuchinat would have done a lot of work as well over the last 18 months. But finally, okay, our superb library team, okay, it has not been an easy last 18 months, that's to be sure for any of us. We had to pivot online. There were changed rosters when we came back, all the health and safety detail of the return to campus. And then, the integration of the learning management systems, I am in the context of the merger. And then, both a challenge but an exciting opportunity, the Wi-Fi works in Bishopstown, dealing with all that, dealing with all the engagement of the various stakeholders. I appreciate there's been a lot on your plates, but I think the last 18 months have been really key for library, and that's because I think it's brought the library and librarians to the fore of education as independent curators of content and knowledge. I feel that the librarian is the librarian is a very interesting position in the university community. I see them as a kind of an independent supporter of student and staff success, but you're completely neutral. You've no skin in the game. You're not in, so you're completely. You're in a really interesting place, I think, where you can, support student success, which is everyone's business in MTU. So I'm not going to list all the names. The library community, I just want to thank again. You've been all named. Thank you, every one of you, for, I suppose, putting the application together in the first place and bringing it to this exciting moment today. In terms of, but in terms of recognising the day-to-day work as well. So a huge thanks to Michael, to Karen, to Brian, to Trace and Sinead, to all the members of the library learning community, and to all my colleagues on the library team here across MTU, across all the campuses. But I suppose, just to be very last, I do want to just compliment yourself, Jean, okay? I thought of 3 words last night: persistent, okay, focused, and visionary, okay? And Jean, in the last 4 years that I've been working with you, it's been my privilege to do so, but you always saw the bigger picture while we were dealing with more operational challenges as well. And you're so ambitious for the library, for its staff, and for all the students that you serve. And this today and the Wi-Fi in Bishopstown are just 2 tangible signs of success, but just 2. So many thanks, Jean. So there's nothing more for me to do except to thank you all again for being here. And when we're teaching maths in first year engineering, we talk about exponential growth. So we're going to have a nice little model that now, folks, to end with. So you're going to promise me, okay, that when you leave today, right, you're going to make it your business to tell 3 people about this new fabulous resource between now and Friday. It can be somebody in MTU, or it can be somebody that you're working with in another university, but make sure you tell 3 people and ask them to tell 3 more, who will then ask them to tell 3 more. And before you know it, we'll have this absolutely worldwide, as it should be. And so, níl hille le rágam ach just gachra a hui or of galéir agus shiv a buint úsáid as an achwin umtoch nua seo. Best of luck. Míle gréchas.
Thank you again, Anya. Thanks to you and your office for your continued support and guidance when it comes to the library. And I again would like to take this opportunity to thank all my library colleagues across all our campuses who in their day-to-day operations are very much focused on the developing needs of our students, and who will be very much using this toolkit going forward to assist our students. And again, the real beauty of the toolkit is that students can dip in and out of the resource depending on where they are during their academic writing journey. So that's a real beauty of it. The modules don't have to be done in a particular sequence. Now, the last part of our formal launch this morning will be a Q&A session with the students, facilitated by Cleona. And again, my thanks to Chloe, Isabel and Anna here today, and also, of course, to Aaron and Dylan, who send their apologies. They couldn't make it today. But if you want to do the Q&A for approximately maybe 10 minutes, and we'll wrap up then. Thank you. Do you want to?
Welcome to prime time. We've got the mics and the cameras. We're good to go. Good idea.
So loud.
Hi everyone, my name is Cleona Hatano, for those who don't know me, and I work on a program called Lukayla. And very briefly, Lukayla is about creating opportunities. So we really are interested in what students have to say. So we ask them a lot of questions. And we do that via surveys, and sometimes we run focus groups. And the other thing that we do is we run partnership projects with various groups across the university, where we have students and staff working together. So this is what the library project looked like. And internationally, these kinds of projects can happen in various different ways, and they're called different things. They can be called student partnership projects, they can be called students as partners, co-creators, student reviewers, student consultants. So really, if you ever hear any of those terms, just if you can think of Lukayla at MTU, that's what we're about. Okay? So about 18 months ago, the library team contacted us, and they were very keen to engage with students. They had some real curiosity around how students were experiencing the library. So where we started was we ran a survey with students to understand how they experienced the services here, what they understood the library was for, and how they were using it. And we had a fantastic response, and there were so many rich pieces of information we took away from it. And the library team already had a hunch that students were struggling with starting assignments, and that came through very, very strongly in the survey. So the next piece of work we did then was to create a partnership team with students and staff to start tackling this, with the idea that we would create these online resources available to the full student body. So we started the process of recruiting students. There was a huge response, a huge interest from the student body, and we have 3 students here today who made it onto the team, the select few. So we have Chloe, we have Anna, and we have Isabel. So do you guys want to introduce yourselves and say what year and program you're in?
Hi, I'm Chloe. I'm doing visual communications in 3rd year.
I'm Anna. I'm doing biomedical engineering in 3rd year as well.
And I'm Isabel, and I'm doing international business with French, and I'm in 4th year.
Super. So I'm going to ask you a few questions about your experience on the project. So Chloe, I'm going to start with you. So around the time that we recruited students, I think we were all stuck at home during the lockdown. So what prompted you to apply for the position and get involved?
Well, when I was in secondary school, I worked in the library for 6 years. When I was in 1st year to 6th year, and I was helping students. I was helping small 1st years, helping with computers, helping them with their printing. So I have experience on both sides of how it goes, and I just felt I could really add, because I have experience in seeing what the student needs and what the library sees are the problems. So I thought I could really add to that.
Yeah, and I suppose you had an interesting perspective because you saw what the library was capable of in terms of support, but also what students would need help with.
No, it was really important resource to me. It felt like a safe place where I could study if I couldn't do it at home. Home is busy, and it's really important for students to have that space to just to work and just to relax even.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Anna, so you've played a key role in creating these resources. If I was a 1st year student, or any kind of student actually, how will they help me? What can I use them for?
I think that, well, for me, the first thing I think of is referencing. I knew that referencing was a thing, but I didn't realise you can't just copy and paste if you reference. I think that's a major thing as well for your first assignments, obviously. a lot of people don't know how to start them, which I know was said a few times, that was one of the main responses that we got back from students. I think that's going to be a massive help to first years especially.
Yeah, absolutely. And Isabel, for you, I mean, you're a fourth year student now, so thinking back on when you started on the project, how did your perception of the library or your understanding of the library change from where you started maybe at the beginning of the project and what you know about it now?
Well, I suppose when I first started in CIT, I just thought the library as just a place you could just study, a quiet place to study, and just use a study hub, and that was kind of it. I didn't realise there was such a big library where you could get any type of books you wanted for any different subject. Before, I kind of always used online resources, but it's only kind of since I started this project that I've started really using the books and the resources that are here. And I suppose the computers and stuff that are here is such a great help as well. So I suppose from the start I've just learned so much about the library itself and what you can do here that really is beneficial to me. So I wish I found out more about it in first year, but I suppose this will really help people now coming in.
Absolutely.
Fresh.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a juicy question here. What was it like working with the staff? We're surrounded. What do you think, Chloe? I mean, you know, you're coming into the project, it wasn't like a standard student project group, it was students and staff. So what was that like?
I suppose the most common thing we have is we all kind of respect the library. We obviously applied for some reason, so we all kind of had the same commonality where we think this is something that's important. You know, like a little, you know, it's like our little club where we meet up and we just talk about the library and you know how important it is to the college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's music to my ears. So a lot of the time what happens on the student staff projects is that the roles disappear after a while and you're just part of the team. Did you have the same experience?
Yeah, definitely. I thought that it would very much be the library staff would tell us what to do, and that was it. But it wasn't. It felt like a normal college project that I would be doing with my friends.
Lovely, lovely. Isabel, do you think you've changed in any way personally or as a student in terms of how you approach your work because of your involvement in the project?
I definitely think that it's made me more aware of what I'm writing and more aware that it isn't as easy as you would think it is with referencing and stuff. I definitely think that I'm kind of more delving into things more on a deeper level and I'm thinking more about them and I definitely will be referring to these resources myself in future, well, as much assignments as I've left anyway. I'll definitely be able to be using them to my advantage. Definitely like misinformation and like fake news. I think that's definitely a big thing. Even at the moment, people have too much time in their hands at home. They're making up all kinds of stories about everything. So I definitely think that would be a good thing to refer back to.
Absolutely. Thank you. So a final question then for all of you. In your opinion, what's the one thing that is important for students to know about the library itself, the building and the services that it offers? What would you say, Chloe?
I would say books don't lie. They're properly edited, they're fact-checked, all these things. Websites are not. I would stick to books if you can and just kind of use websites, kind of online resources as kind of as secondary type of thing. I just, you know, I feel that books, they're just checked and, you know, I feel like students don't realise that sometimes people lie and they just fill in gaps where there is nothing to be filled, and you just need to have an understanding of that, and you know this module explains that.
Brilliant. Books don't lie, that's a good one. Okay, Anna, what would you say is important for students to know?
I know this is very basic and not exactly a service, but just that you can ask the library staff questions if you're stuck. Like, they will help you. They're not just there walking around for no reason. You can ask them questions.
You can ask some questions, absolutely. Thank you. And Isabel?
I suppose the main thing for me that I've always thought over the years that the library isn't just like a space where you have to be really quiet and you can't talk to anyone. It's a very collaborative space, as in the study hubs. Like, they're definitely a massive asset to this place. I've used them a few times myself. Like, just it's so good to be able to collaborate with your classmates in a one space where you know you can go to and book it so easily. So I definitely think that's a very good thing for students to know about.
Lovely, lovely. Well, thank you so much to the three of you and the five of you in total. You've been such an asset to this project. So give it up for our students.
Thank you all once And I think it's fair to say what this project really brings home is what we want to achieve both as a library service but equally as a university, and that is to help create students who are both confident consumers of information but also confident contributors to information. And I think it's fair to say that by partnering with our students on projects like this, we will succeed together in getting those kind of results. So thanks again to all our students on that. So just to wrap up, thank you all for taking the time to attend today and for tuning in online as well. Once again, my thanks to all our speakers. The toolkit is clearly a testament to what can be achieved through such partnerships, and we do really believe now that the more people that will use the toolkit, the more people that will benefit from it. And again, the real beauty of the resource, back to what our president said at the beginning, is that it's not just the MTU community that will benefit from this resource as an open educational resource. It's free to be shared and enjoyed by anybody that has access to the internet. So for those who are physically present, you're now very welcome to join us upstairs for some light lunch in the conference room, and you'll have an opportunity there to talk to our students and to members of our learning community. For those who've tuned in and who will tune in afterwards, more information on the toolkit and links to the toolkit and to the modules will be shared with all of MTU later today. So you can also follow us then on our website and social media to find out more about the toolkit. So just to say thank you all once again, and congratulations to all involved in this initiative. Thank you.